We're transitioning from an old paradigm to a new paradigm. Your time is not meant to be occupied with endless clearing. When you think there's something in your past to clear, you look to the past and you're looking for the very thing to clear, and you'll find something. And then when you think you've cleared it, you'll turn back around and something else will be there. Because life is saying, you seem to be liking this game, so we give you a lot of things to play with. But you don't want things to clear. So if you don't want things to clear, here's an easy tip. You don't want things to clear, don't look behind you. Because what you've survived is complete. The moment something is done, it's done. Even the moment after you go, oh my God, why did I say that? Oop, done. Done. Because your time is not meant to be occupied in endless clearing. And one of the ways you make your way through the entry point of the fifth dimension and into fifth dimensional consciousness is by giving your time, instead of to endless processing, clearing, and gymnastics and perfectionism, by giving your time to the living practice, or what I call the essential key of intention. And this is where life becomes infinitely extraordinary. And I'll explain what I mean. So intention is not trying to make an outcome happen, because outcomes are orchestrated by your highest divine self to ensure your highest evolution, because there are things up ahead waiting your arrival, and you have to be prepared to handle and receive those things with maturity and grace. So nothing's missing. Your intuition tells you there's things that you want, but when you have an ego, you want the right thing at the wrong chapter of your life. You envision what's waiting for you at chapter 7, and you think it's supposed to be in chapter 5, and you're kind of mixed up. And it's the essential key of intention that will bring everything together. So if not a super duper hope, what is intention? Intention is the meaning you give to the symbols in view. Every person, place, or thing could be called a symbol of consciousness or a form. And inherently, in the vacuum of consciousness, which we would call dimensions, there is no inherent meaning to any symbol in view other than the meaning you give to it. And the meaning you give to symbols becomes your perception, which is then translated into your body as a vibrational experience depending on the level of consciousness you're seeing it from. And so it is the essential key of intention that allows you to start co-creating with life without trying to control outcomes. Because why would you need to control an outcome when you are the one making the rules? And the first part of the essential key of intention, which is one of the most direct ways to raise your vibration, and it's raise your vibration without trying to hold your vibration. Holding a high vibration sounds a little painful. Raising your vibration is energetically what you feel and how wide of a view you see as a result or a culmination of how intentionally you live your life. And one of the most powerful ways of bringing the essential key of intention into your life is to deliberately affix higher meanings to the symbols of activities that you do every day. If you just walk across the street, you're going to have the experience of what it's like to just walk across the street. If you were to say, through the essential key of intention, with every step I take, may all beings be blessed and liberated as I am now, and then you walk across the street, then all of a sudden you are flooded with a fulfillment that no coercion, manipulation, and personal will can ever bring to you. And even if you have ever thought a new career is going to do it for me, a new relationship's going to do it for me, a new this, a new that, none of that's wrong. But life gives you all of the time to chase those things. And even when you find those things in the beginning, there might be some fulfillment. But have you ever noticed that sooner or later, it just becomes the next thing in your life, the next thing to take care of, or the next burden that's in the way of whatever you're hypnotized to think is your next key to fulfillment. And in the new paradigm, we wake up and we realize, oh, because you've learned in the old paradigm, it's not the things outside of me that bring me fulfillment. You've learned that it's not the outside things can't fulfill me. But you want to know what's really funny about that? That's not the whole teaching. Because you can't be told what doesn't fulfill you if not to be told what does. Because otherwise what happened in the third dimension was, what do you learn in the third dimension? The things I acquire, the people I meet, the things I do, doesn't fulfill me in any way. That's like third dimensional consciousness. But then fourth dimension, we go, oh, I'm going to look within. And all of my spiritual busy work, all my spiritual accomplishments, that will fulfill me. And that's actually the same thing. So you can't be told what doesn't fulfill you unless they tell you what does. So let me just tell you what does fulfill you. Fulfillment is a vibrational frequency that is accessed within your energy field, interpreted as a variety of emotions, whether it's joy, inspiration, passion, or bliss, based upon how intentionally you live your life. And every day is like this fun little video game where you become aware of, oh my God, the path is open and I can set intentions for every action I take. And every time you set an intention, you are starting to raise your vibration. And you are accumulating a higher vibrational frequency, not from the old mindset of, I'm going to raise my vibration so that God will be very impressed and then give me all the crap that's not going to make me happy. Remember that old teaching? I'm going to raise my vibration and the universe is going to be so amazed by my behavior, it's just going to like throw money at me. No. You raise your vibration through intention so that you realize one of the greatest secrets of happiness in existence. And that is, with intention, you can be completely happy, rooted in peace, and completely untouchable to anything in existence, no matter the circumstance or outcome, if intention leads the way. To act unconsciously is the universe's way of trying to say, here's what life feels like when you entered into the field of experience without an intention. To live consciously is to enter into the field of experience with an intention. So intention becomes everything. With every breath, may every being be awaken to their highest truth. With every blink of my eyes, may every heart burst open to the ecstasy and love of their highest self. With every step I take, may all beings be loved, placed in secure surroundings, and with families who love and adore and cherish their highest qualities, talents, and abilities. With every bite of food, may all beings be nourished with organic sustainability and clean drinking water. Your lack of fulfillment is because you are on some level agreeing to only have experiences of what you see, but what you see are symbols that can be anything you decide they are. And you're only chasing after greater abundance when you say, the symbols of my current reality prove my scarcity, which causes me to beg, borrow, and steal or chase the future as if up ahead is going to be different. The field is open for you to stop and say, what would happen if everything I saw became a symbol of how abundant I am? How do I know that everything isn't a symbol of my abundance? I'm around an abundance of people. I have an abundance of breath. I have an abundance of options. I've lived out an abundance of days. There seems to be an abundance of seconds in each day. Maybe I have an abundance of problems. Maybe an abundance of thoughts, an abundance of judgments, an abundance of contractions and reactions that I think I'm supposed to do some specific way. What if you decided that every single thing in your life was a symbol of abundance? And that's not make-believe. The funniest thing is, what you would make believe as a symbol of something more positive is actually closer to what the universe already knows life is. So you could make believe the most altruistic intentions that you affix to symbols, and all you would do is get closer to the truth. Isn't that wild? That you could use your imagination to give the most positive meanings to the things in your life, and all you would do is to get closer to a truth that no form of spiritual perfectionism can ever understand or comprehend. Isn't that wild? That's wild. And that's why we make peace with our inner child, because that's the one in charge of your imagination, and that's the one that's going to be the rock star intention center when you make peace with it, by loving it, because it's the one that's going to set you free. It's the one that sets you free from all this spiritual busy work and says, all right, this is a video game. Game on. You've loved me. Now it's my turn to save you. So loving ourselves is how we turn our inner child into the intention-setting rock star it is. It might kick and scream in the beginning. You just gotta say, honey, I love you. I love you, I love you, I love you. So let's talk about different kinds of intention. An intention typically is something you start your day with. You're not trying to state an outcome. You're trying to formulate a sentence that suggests, no matter what outcome or circumstance comes my way, here's how I intend to deal with it. You're telling your subconscious mind the way in which you wish to experience what will come your way. You're not controlling, you're commanding. There's a very big difference. And the beauty of commanding, which you have the right to do as the navigator of your journey, you're not in control of the outcomes, but you are steering the ship. And the beauty of commanding through intention starts with two words that, when put together, for me are two of the most gorgeous words when said together I've ever heard. May I. Because may I is saying, I'm making a choice. And may I is assuming or declaring that you have the right to make this kind of a choice and decide the type of experience you wish to have. You can't control the outcome of how things appear, but you determine what it symbolizes to you. Does that make sense? I find that to be utterly fascinating, that you determine what these symbols mean, that you can't even be a spiritual ego anymore that thinks it knows the world. And let me tell you about what's wrong with the world. And that's just someone telling you about their symbols. Symbols of what they think is a static world, overlooking the fact that they get to decide what those symbols mean. That on some level, they're deciding that the world is a horrendous amount of symbols just so they can sit around as the informed one. That literally burns the spiritual know-it-all energy out of your field. Oh my God, I'm like, I think I know everything about the world, and I'm just agreeing to give limiting meanings to these symbols just so I think I know what the hell I'm talking about. Oh my God. Oh my God. It's amazing, isn't it? Because every single one of us live in our own dimension, and we all decide what the symbols mean. In fact, I will say that the reason why things manifest are for two reasons. Things obviously manifest to wake us up out of our unconsciousness. What does unconsciousness mean? The unconscious use of intention, when you use intention against yourself instead of using it as a skill to create with. So obviously we manifest things to wake us up. But also the world manifests such atrocities to keep us, to give us things to argue about and to debate about, to look away from the skill or the essential key of intention that we haven't known that we have within us to access. So here's the really strange thing about reality. If the entire world stopped for one moment and instead of trying to change any single thing in this world, anything, and just for one moment gave different meaning to the symbols they saw, that would raise the vibration of an entire planet to instantaneously eradicate out of an entire planet any unconscious activity. And when you become the first person that does this in your world, you start to feel transformed in yourself, and over time it radiates outward to transform the world around you. So even after we are transformed with our intention set, and we don't stop, because we don't stop until the outside world reflects back the beauty of our brightness. So there is the intention, which we start our day with. May I be more loving today than I've ever been before. May I be more fulfilled than I've ever known in the past. And may I be more loving and thoughtful with myself and others than I could ever possibly imagine, for the benefit of all beings. That's an intention. It starts with may I. You decide how you're going to welcome what comes your way, and at the end, for the benefit of all. May I? How are you going to welcome what comes your way? And it's not the likelihood of, do I think I'm going to do it that way? Because do you want to know why a lot of spiritual beings have the idea of, I want to be more loving, and they don't wind up acting that way? Because they haven't told their subconscious mind their intention. When you set an intention, you tell your subconscious mind, here's what I want you looking for evidence of. And once you've told your subconscious mind your intention, that gives you the permission to step into your reality to make that choice. Does that make sense? So if you haven't set your intention, you can't access that choice. And at the end of the day, you beat yourself up for not being able to do what you think you're here to do. And you set yourself up for failure, because the essential key of intention is what does it for you. May I be more loving, thoughtful, fulfilled than ever before for the well-being of all. That's an intention. And literally by saying that once, just once in the morning, you'll feel better in your body, because your body is immediately opening up to fulfillment. Fulfillment is a byproduct of intention, not based on your collection of experiences, accomplishments, or outcomes. So that's what I call an intention, Or I'll call it the prime intention. Let's give it a nice lofty term, the prime intention. The prime intention. I always forget the names I give to things in the moment. And then people come to me, okay, so man, I'm working on my prime intention. And I forget that I came up, I'm like, what? That sounds cool, prime intention. I want one of those. Can I have one? So the prime intention is the anchoring intention in your morning. May I, always may I be more, fill in the blank, than ever before for the well-being of all. And that guarantees the success of how you will perceive, act, and choose from that moment in your life. It's like you step out of your play, you become the director or the narrator who declares, and then he woke up today to be more loving than ever before. And then you go back into actor mode and you do that. But it's not going to feel like you're trying to do it. It's that you're just going to magically do it because of the intention you set. That's what co-creation is. You declare it, you act it out, and it will happen through you instead of exhaustingly by you. So that's the prime intention. Then there are what I call micro-intentions. Micro-intentions are the intentions you set before activities. And here's an interesting thing to learn. Any area of your life where there is disharmony, is telling you the moments in time where you are not setting micro-intentions. So you set your prime intention in the morning, and you can do it for as many activities as you want, or as little, it's up to you. And the micro-intention is giving greater meaning, greater spiritual meaning for the simple activities you do. We do not breathe anymore. We awaken all hearts in every breath. We don't just blink our eyes. We bring salvations to all souls in all dimensions just by blinking our eyes. How do you do that? By intending it to be that way. You decide as a creator, when I do this, all beings are free. And someone would say, who the hell are you to do that? And the answer is someone who has the right to conceive it. You don't have to believe this, because belief is old paradigm. Belief is just a way of tying yourself up in knots. Even if you were overwhelmed in disbelief or negative beliefs, all you would have to do is say, may all these negative beliefs represent the salvation of all souls that are freed every time I have a negative thought. And the minute you give different meaning to the symbol, it goes away. So the micro-intention is with every step. And the reason why you're perceiving a world of other beings is so you can give a spiritual meaning to all of your personal actions. That is something that is bringing something greater to the planet. Because the greater the spiritual meaning behind your personal actions, the higher the level of fulfillment you can feel. In fact, the more lofty of an intention, juxtaposed with the silliest task, brings about the greatest fulfillment and joy, which is the quickest way to raise your vibration. With every tooth I brush, the ocean is purified. With every bite of food, this planet is returned to Eden. And all you gotta get over is a voice in your head that might say, who the hell do you think you are? to which you recognize even the thought that says, "Who do you think you are?" is only revealing who's next in line to be loved. I love you. You don't ever answer the question, who the hell you are. You only love the one who asks the question as a way of begging for your attention. Spiritual beings have been trying to get rid of their thoughts, and all it does is make them crazy. And they act like having a thought is the reason why their life is shitty. You ask a spiritual person, "Hey, why is your life the way it is?" "Well, I still have thoughts." Let me just make a point really quickly. In your head is not a mind. Remember, you give meaning to symbols. So if what's inside your head is something you call a mind and there's a negative connotation, it's going to act out whatever the symbol means. But the mind is an abstraction of the entire universe. So if you just stop calling it the mind and start calling it the universe, you don't have a lot of thoughts. The universe is very creative. Wow, the universe is very creative today. It's very active. Wow. A lot of creating going on right now. A lot of creating. And then if you set a micro intention to your thoughts and say, "May every thought I have, no matter the vibration or how I judge or accept it, no matter the thought I have, may my highest recognition of truth be revealed, may my highest self be embodied, and may all hearts find the safety to open to its highest potential as I am now." So let me introduce you to the more radical side of the love revolution. We don't change anything but the meaning we give to the symbols we subjectively perceive. And from that, everything will change for you faster than you'll ever imagine. Because every problem you have, every question you have, is accepting the meaning you've given to symbols, which is why you're questioning it, or you're pushing away from it, or you're trying to turn away from it, or you're trying to transcend it because of what meaning you've given it, or what meaning you've taught to give it. But none of this is asking you to give it any specific meaning, which means it's up to you. The question of consciousness becomes, do the meanings you give to the symbols in view feel good in your body? Does it bring you closer to faith or closer to fear? Does it bring you closer to a sense of unity, or does it pull you deeper into separation? Does it make you feel more fulfilled and whole, or more desperate and lonely? And if it's making you feel in a way that is not contributing to your happiness, then let us start to look at what things mean to you. And contrary to the old paradigm where they'd say, we got to clear out all these old beliefs, we got to dig it all up. No, you don't. You just have to take one moment and say to yourself in a very casual and unofficial tone, by the way, none of that crap means what it used to mean. It now means this. Ta-da. And if you can have some sort of glitter in your hand, or some sort of salt or spices, it makes it just more official. So let us really take this in. What if you focus your time on creating different meaning for the activities you take, and you decided through your intentions that no matter what comes your way, here's how I intend to welcome it. Because an ego would say, how can I be until it comes? And the universe would say, how can it come until you've set your intention? How can life bring you more things to confirm greater abundance until this stuff symbolizes abundance? And the one who sets intention will never find themselves in any kind of despair, because you're only put in despair to realize your intentionality, your creativity, your consciousness will rescue you from whatever adversity you think you're in. Because the difference between adversity and redemption are the meaning you give to symbols. For any of us that are going through the entry into the fifth dimension, and we have chronic fatigue-like syndromes, or sometimes we physically manifest actual ailments, again, old paradigm says, oh, you manifested a physical illness. And of course, egos judge that, so we go, okay, now what in your past causes to happen? Okay, you're sick. Who did you piss off? Again, that's not why we manifest illness or chronic fatigue-like syndromes or exhaustion. Energetically speaking, any kind of an illness, and symptoms could, the reason why symptoms are so unique in all beings is because symptoms might come out of a play of genetics, but no matter the symptoms that come out of the uniqueness of each field, every illness usually follows the same energetic scenario, which is when your soul is evolving and expanding faster than your body can catch up, you manifest some form of debilitation to ground you and force you to rest and be still in a prolonged period of incubation so your body and the light of your soul can get on the same page, because the light of your soul is meant to be integrated and grounded in physical form. And so being sick, energetically, physically, emotionally, is just how your body and soul catch up. And so if you gave different meaning to any kind of an illness, if you had a terminal illness and began saying to yourself, this illness is proof of how radically I'm spiritually evolving, and I'm only this debilitated so my body and soul can be on the same page. Therefore, this illness is proof of a healing that's already here. My healing has already arrived, and I'm just coming out the other end, playing it out, letting my body and soul catch up. Someone who says that to them will heal miraculously. And I go on record to say this so that people who are watching this video or here in attendance who are going through debilitating experiences and symptoms can use this practice to be the healer and transformer you're looking for. Do not wait for a modality. Do not look to a healer. It's your intention that's going to do it. And I give it to you freely because you are the one who's going to shift this. Not shift it like, thank God I got this out of my field. I've overcome the illness. I fought it. I beat it. We're not fighting things. Because if we do, we're fighting with our own genius. We're not fighting. We are deciding to give things different meaning. And it's not like I'm saying, oh yeah, give it a positive spin. Yeah, you've got terminal cancer. Yeah, look, let's give it some positive meaning. Make them feel good about themselves. Hey, look, you're a spiritual master. It's not what I'm saying. I'm actually saying if you learned the truth about energy from the highest dimension in the universe, you would realize that any physical manifestation of disease is only for the body and soul to catch up. It's a tremendous and drastic cry for integration. And we're waking up out of an old paradigm where we judge the shit out of that. Like, oh, I got sick. I must not have a high vibration. What? No, it's your vibration is so high, your body is trying to catch up, so you're being grounded and put into bed to be totally still, to unravel your personal will, so those things can come together and you can integrate to actually ground the energy within you into this world to bring forth a heart-centered consciousness that's going to wake up this world. So sometimes being a light worker means getting yourself through debilitation so you can be the tour guide that gets other people through. We're not trying to get rid of things. We're trying to change the meaning we give to it, because the loftier or more positive of a meaning you give to something, the closer to the truth you are. That's what's so wild about this. This isn't altruistic positive thinking. The more positive you would try to be, the more positive of a spin you would give to something, the closer to the truth you would be. And we are no longer living in a day where being cynical in a spiritual setting is any measurement of intelligence or insight. Because it's one thing to be blown open and seeing a truth, but the real question is, who's going to take the time to bring intention to their life? To someone who would hear this and go, I shouldn't have to do that. Old paradigm. Shouldn't have to love myself. There's only one. No one's here. Who's here to do that? Gone. Gone. That person's gone. See you next lifetime. That's a spiritual dinosaur who would say that. God bless them. That's a spiritual dinosaur. And this new ascension energy is the Ice Age. Being a master of the old paradigm is one thing. Being a master of the new paradigm is where you become a co-creator of your reality, not creating outcome, creating new meaning for the symbols you see. Why can't everything be a symbol of abundance? How does it feel if you say that? And the part of you that would say, that feels like I'm lying to myself. That's just your subconscious mind saying, we haven't spent any time doing that. I know. That's why we're doing it. So as a way of really working with this, let's try a repeat after me so you can feel it in your body and feel how quickly fulfillment arises in your body so you can finally know fulfillment has nothing to do with outcome. Nothing. Has to do with how often you intend. So try this out loud. May I, no matter what comes my way, be more loving, thoughtful, gentle, and courageous through my words and actions for the well-being of all. May every breath awaken every heart. May every step return all beings to safety. May every bite of food nourish all families. May every blink of my eyes return the earth to peace. May everything I hear be the sound of consciousness awakening. May everything I see reveal the growing pains of the divine's highest destiny emerging into the beauty of human form. May every interaction I have reveal the truth of my being. And even when I encounter those who don't treat me the way I intend to be, I can just remember. Their actions don't have to symbolize anything about me. Instead, their actions symbolize how tremendous of a healing journey they may be on and may not even know it. And so even when I encounter others who do not act in accordance with my intention, it doesn't have to symbolize anything about me. It simply symbolizes how deep of a journey they're on. And even when I encounter beings like that, I can use it as an opportunity to set another intention. And simply say, may I be for myself and them whatever appears missing in this encounter. And then instantly, I am no longer lacking or needing someone else to change. Because I can always intend to become for myself and others what seems missing in the encounters I have for the well-being of all as I am now. May you feel that. That's what we do every day. You know why I'm teaching this to you? This is what I have done and do every day in my video game. This is how I create everything that you see. Someone in my position, whether you want to call it a light worker, a healer, a teacher, whatever, I do not worry or think about what I'm going to teach in front of you, because someone who is creating on a very quantum level knows what you do in front of beings, whether you want to say it in front of the camera, on stage, whatever you want to call this. What I do in front of you is a manifestation of the energy I anchor when I'm not in front of you. The most important thing for me is what I do when I'm not with you. And that guarantees everything I do is transmitted with this energy. In every moment of my life when no one's looking. And it's not done with any kind of aggression or I have to set an intention. To a masterful being, a practice is not hurrying towards the finish line of completion. Because once you have reached masterful level, and I say that because we're all on a trajectory to become masters. We're all masters blossoming into our perfection. But a master does not use a practice to reach a certain state and stops. The master continues the practice for all those who have yet to remember. So I set intentions for those that forget. I love yous for a world that doesn't know how to love itself. I do for the world when no one's looking, and the result is what happens when I'm with you. I was talking to a friend, and it's very funny sometimes when, I have conversations with people, and I sometimes don't give any kind of preface to the things I say. I just kind of put things out there. My friend said, "Hey, so how's your day?" And I said, "Well, I just assisted in the liberation of all beings, healed every wound, and purified every continent." My friend said, "Did you do some sort of visualization?" said, no, I had lunch. My friend said, well, I don't understand how you did that. Because I decided that every bite of my lunch fulfilled those things. And then my friend said, well, did it work? And I said, yes, my lunch was yummy. It was quite delicious. You do not look to the world for evidence of your intention, because the world's not the first place your intentions show up. You're the first place they show up. It goes through what I call the 3 stages of transformation. The first stage, once you've started to bring intention into your daily practice, is you start to feel better about your circumstances, whether they change or not. So your circumstances don't change, but you feel different. The second level of transformation is you start to see things that have been there for a while through a different pair of eyes, because all of a sudden, feeling different starts to allow things that you see to symbolize different meanings. And when you're intentionally changing the meanings of things, this happens very quick. Then, of course, the third level of transformation is the symbols that you've given new meanings to change on their own. You can't force them to change. You just give new meaning to things. Your life is a video game. And every day you affix the most ridiculous spiritual meaning to the most inconsequential human activity. And watch your light shine like you have never imagined it shining before. If you think the energy I bring forth is amazing, and if there's a brightness that you feel that I radiate, it is only a sneak preview of what you will transmit when you accept the essential key of intention and become the co-creator that you're here to be. But co-creation is not about control. It's not about outcome. It's about deciding that things mean different things. If you go to a building every day and you call it work, you're going to have the experience of whatever the word work means to you. Most people go to work and they don't enjoy themselves because they call it work. But if you call work the place I go to be paid to set radical intentions and attach them to the simple activities I'm paid to do, then you're now a light worker in training. Most people are not liking their experiences because the meaning behind the labels. We don't change the labels, we shift the meaning. And when you shift the meaning, the experience changes. That's what freedom knows. And I give this to you because I want you to have, and I will continue to give you anything that I'm given by the universe to make sure that you are the one who is in full power of your reality. You don't control what comes, but you do decide the quality of your experience by how you interpret what you see and what you decide your actions mean. And you can look around at the world and see what happens when you don't give great meaning to your actions. You just wander around with a look on your face like you're in some form of pain. Where any little thing will flip you out. Whether it's an ego who is stuck in stagnation and anything that bumps it into motion flips it out and its ugliest qualities come out, or an ego that's in constant motion and if you disrupt its pattern, look out. It is setting your intention that wakes you up out of this. Even if you encounter beings that are acting atrocious and nasty and conniving and unthoughtful, you are the one who says, may every time I encounter a being like this, it symbolized the growing pains of consciousness awakening. I'm not seeing unthoughtful people. I'm seeing a world waking up so fast, it's only acting nasty because it doesn't know the spiritual path it's on. Just change the meaning. Nothing has to mean anything you think it means, unless you say so. Who cares if you have a thought? Ask yourself this question: what do I tell myself it means when I have a thought? That's the real question. Forget trying to change your emotions. What do you tell yourself it means when you have an emotion? Because kids have emotions all day, and they don't tell themselves it means spiritual failure. So what do they know that we forget? Kids don't even know what a thought is. Kids are free, they don't know how free they are. And adults are trying so hard to be free because they forget how to be kids. And only by loving your heart will you reunite with the innocence in your heart. And will you let that innocence creatively set intentions every day? And I can only invite you to so radically, instead of trying to change anything in your life, and I say that with the exception of if you find yourself in a relationship or a situation that is bringing you undue physical, mental, emotional harm, where your safety is being threatened, or you're in an abusive relationship or situation. Always put yourself in a situation where you are respected and in an environment of safety. So I make that little aside. So I'm not suggesting if you find yourself in a dangerous situation, oh, it's okay, I'm just going to change the meaning. Well, first find safety. Let's be real about it. And I say that because of so many times I've met people who are in abusive relationships and they overly spiritualize and justify the abuse by staying in an abusive relationship as a way of practicing accepting what is. And it's horrifying. So the exception of the rule is if you're not being treated well, if you're being disrespected, if you're being physically or mentally or emotionally abused, please put yourself in a safer environment. And even if that means having to disrupt the sanctity of your life, shaking up the snow globe of your reality, and maybe you have to sleep on your friend's couch for 8 months, you're not sleeping on your friend's couch, you're sleeping in the shelter that has rescued you from hell. Change the meaning. Even if you find yourself without a home, sleeping under a tree, you're not homeless. Your home is just open concept. Real open concept. Heck of a view. Floor to ceiling windows. So clean, it's almost like there's no windows. And I know as I tune into you, you feel what I'm saying. And what I hope you're feeling, and what I hope you glean from what I'm offering you, is the sense of, oh, this gives me direction now. That's what I want to give you today, is direction. So it's not just aimlessly spinning around and orbiting this world, waiting for something to happen. Every one of us live in our own worlds, so it's not like we're living in one world. We're all living in our own worlds, sharing the same space. So ascension isn't when the world wakes up, it's when your world wakes up. And your world wakes up when you accept the essential key of intention and begin changing the meanings of the symbols you see and giving greater meaning to the actions you take as a way of stepping forward and fully participating as a light bearer of heart-centered consciousness. This is why we are here, and now it is time for us to take back our power and to live incredibly miraculous lives and not running around trying to create it from the outside in, but with the power of intention, we create it from the inside out. Yes. 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 And just like every time we come together, I give you this key, I give you this practice. We bring it into our lives. You test it in your reality. And the next time we come together, whether again in Portland or in Seattle at a retreat, whenever we come together, Angel Academies, whatever it is, this becomes just another foundational piece for the next teaching that I bring forth for you. And step by step, we are constructing the new world for the well-being of all. We're the ones doing it. And we're doing it with our intentions, because how do you expect yourself to act so nobly, to wake up one day and live as love and speak of love if you don't set loving intentions? At a certain point, you realize why you kept not being able to do it right. It's not because we're spiritual failures, it's because we're trying to do the right thing in the wrong way. It's like kind of like one of the teachings I said before, where if there's a self-defeating habit that you're doing and you just give different meaning to it, that's actually one of the most indirect ways to purge unconscious behavior out of your field. Spiritual egos thinks it's like a justification or a reframe, but it's actually a very powerful energetic tool where, let's say you're doing something self-destructive and you're ashamed of it. The more ashamed you are, the more you reach for that thing for a false level of comfort. But if you said, may every time I do this self-destructive thing, no matter what it is, may all beings be liberated from their personal prisons. And the bigger intentions, the more powerful spiritual intentions you set to the most despicable behavior that you do behind closed doors that you don't want anyone to know about, the more you raise your vibration to where you no longer resonate with the things you're ashamed to do. So it's never going to be you getting your shit together and finally kicking the habit. It's you giving such powerful meaning to the things you're embarrassed to admit that you do, that's going to purge it out of your field on your behalf. It's not about, oh my God, there's that choice, I can't do that. That's nonsense. When you're done with something, you don't resonate with it. It could be right in your face. No, thank you. Because you've done it too many times. Why do you think beings, you ever had this experience of there's something you know you're doing that's self-destructive? You have an intuition that says, I shouldn't be doing this, which is really your intuition saying, this is not going to be something you do on the long term. You're playing it out right now, but up ahead, you're not going to be doing this. And what most beings try to do is they try to stop doing it at the wrong chapter. Instead, you start setting really radical intentions every time you do it, and you're one step closer to being out of resonance with it. Otherwise, you're going to hate yourself for the things you can't stop doing. Why can't you stop doing it? Because your vibration isn't high enough. How do you get your vibration high enough? By continuously doing those self-destructive things with greater intentionality. And if you were to do something that you're not very happy to admit that you do, if you did it with the greatest intention, you would instantaneously no longer want to do it or couldn't commit to doing it. That's what's so fascinating. And this thing of like, oh, people must be addicted to things because they keep going back to it. That's not addiction. You know what that is? That's the soul saying, you have a soul contract and you're going to keep playing out this atrocious self-destructive habit because it's actually helping you unravel your spiritual judgments. Oh my God, why am I doing this? This is not who I'm supposed to be. And what will get you out of that hellish loop is, well, if I'm going to do this atrocious activity, let me set positive intentions to it. Oh, it's time to do this again. Every time I do this, may human trafficking come to an end. Oh wow, here I am, unconsciously surfing the internet to look at those images that I don't want anyone to know is on my computer. And every time I do this, children be spared of torture. You want to stop doing unconscious things? That's how you do it. You can take intention as deep as you want to go. I can only transmit this to you because of how deep I've taken it. And I wasn't in a position to use intention to transmute self-destructive tendencies. That wasn't my path. But was my path is to affix to the most ordinary things that I do when I'm alone intentions that so outrageously bring resolve to a planet that I in no way am waiting for anyone to do for me. I'm not waiting for anyone in the planet to gather together and abolish anything because I'm too busy doing that with my intention and now teaching you how to join me so that together we can watch despicable behavior disappear and honor the fact that despicable behavior only manifested in the planet to show you so powerfully what your intention can eradicate. The power is yours, and it's my honor as always to give it to you. And I invite you to try this. And as always, you'll always have this transmission to refer back to. Because it's not how often you remember this, or I should say, it's not about beating yourself up for how often you forget this. It's about how often you remember to return to intention. And even if you forgot, the moment you remember, you just say, may every time I forget to set an intention, all beings be free. May every time I flip out in traffic, may all problems be resolved. May every time I beat myself up for having a negative thought, all families be reunited. May every time I want to go home and don't want to be on this planet any longer, may heaven emerge for the well-being of all. How deep do you want to go? You decide. And even if you are drawn into the depth and don't even know how deep that will go, the deepest exploration, the greatest discovery, the most magnificent realization are not 20 steps ahead, 45,000 lifetimes ahead, but only a handful of intentions away. The road to heaven is not north, south, east, or west. It's a map that only your intentions can lead you to. Every moment you set an intention, you're one step towards heaven. And it's only so many steps of intention that heaven is remembered. One of the classic symbols of enlightenment or supreme spiritual wisdom, realization, is the Buddha under the Bodhi tree. And a lot of people have the misunderstanding that the Buddha under the Bodhi tree was engaged in the activity of silence. Now, to a spiritual student, they look at a statue of a Buddha and they say, that's the activity of silence. But not to a Buddha. See, a Buddha, what makes a Buddha is a Buddha already knows they are not the one in charge of silence. A Buddha has already realized silence is already here dressed up as the Buddha. So the Buddha is not engaging in the activity of silence. The Buddha sits with eyes half open and letting whatever arises under the Bodhi tree be the next symbol that it gives greater spiritual meaning to through the silent practice of intention. So a Buddha does not sit silently. A Buddha sits intentionally and transforms the world one intention at a time. What would happen if every symbol you saw became the living manifestation of the divine's highest perfection and the symbol, the confirmation of abiding enlightenment? If everything you saw you recognized as that's another symbol confirming my enlightenment, you know what the one thing you wouldn't be chasing? Enlightenment. You know why you chase anything in your life? Because nothing in your life symbolically represents that thing, and you think running towards it's going to find it, and all you got to do is stop and change the meaning of the things you see. Now that, when it gets you on the deepest level, is freaking outrageous. You want abundance? Everything you see is now a confirmation of your highest wealth and abundance. You do that for a couple weeks, watch what happens. You want enlightenment? Everything you see is a sign of supreme enlightenment. Watch what happens. You want peace of mind? Everything I see is a symbol of eternal peace. Watch what happens. You want to feel the love of your true self? Everything I see is a symbol of love. All you got to do is risk being seen as dumb and inconsequential by judgmental people. All you gotta risk is being seen as completely insane by people who use their intentions against themselves, only to show you how they've been hurt and betrayed by their past by lashing out onto you. And just before we end tonight, let's try to repeat after me. From this moment forward, may infinite flowing prosperity, perfect health, illumination, radiant eternal being, purity, wholeness, and perfection, love, sustenance, and fulfillment, inspiration, passion, peace, love, and joy, awaken within, radiate throughout, liberating an entire planet that reflects my highest vibration back to me to confirm the universal harmony, cosmic perfection I have always been, that is here, actualized in the present moment time, and anchored as my new 0 point field, for the well-being of all, as I am, now and forever. Amen. And in knowing it is so, I command it here, as I am now. And so it is.